Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to be looking at an American comedy and adventure movie. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe to help the channel out. In the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Nick. Nick is a straight-cut and honest attorney, and he's in the hotel for a friend's bachelor party. While checking out his bill, he is shocked to see an extra charge in it. He asks the receptionist what the bills is for and she says it's for an adult movie he kept watching in his room. He insists he did not watch the movie, so the receptionist eventually deals with it. Thereafter, we are introduced to Owen. Owen is a disgraced referee, who has recently been the talk of the town for making a bad call in a big football match. While having a drink, his story is shown on the news, so he takes to his heels before the people around would identify him. In another scene, we are introduced to two silly and good-for-nothing siblings. Their names are Dwayne and Blaine. Dwayne places a glass on the ground, and then he asks his brother to fake a fall through the stairs so they can claim insurance from it. As they are about to execute their plan, another woman slips on the glass and falls down the stairs, leaving the brothers disappointed. Afterwards, we are also introduced to Vera. Vera is a carefree woman who gave her daughter out for adoption while she was young, and now they are about to meet up after years of being apart. When Vera's daughter arrives, she introduces herself as Meryl, a businesswoman who has a low anger threshold. Also in the hotel, we are introduced to a family of 4 who are on vacation. Randy and his wife Beverly, and also their 2 kids Jason and Kimberly. Randy asks his family to unpack while he looks around the hotel, but his wife catches up with his deceit and warns him not to gamble with their vacation money. He reluctantly agrees, then we see him leaving the room. After a while, we see Nick's friend convincing him to stay for another day, but Nick says he has to return. They both engage in a banter after this, with Nick's friend berating him for being too straightforward, not even trying to gamble. Afterwards, we see Vera and her daughter gambling in the casino. They win a gold coin, which instructs them to see the management of the hotel. Randy and Owen also try their luck, with the both winning the same gold coin. Dwayne and his brother also tries, and then they win a gold coin also. While on his way home, Nick decides to try out one of the slots for a change, so he also wins the gold coin. Thereafter, we see all the winners being treated to a special reception at the penthouse of the hotel. While most of them are still curious as to why they were invited, Enrico walks into the room, showing them a coin he has won from the slot machine. Meryl gets fed up and tries to leave with her mom, but they are stopped when a man finally comes in to address them. His name is Donald and he's the owner of hotel and casino. He tells them that they've all been arranged for a race to New Mexico. Anyone to get there first will open the locker at the train station, and claim $2 million in cash. They are given 6 identical keys, which can open the same locker, so Blaine asks if there are any rules. Donald replies that there are no rules guiding the game, so they all go out when he fires a shot with his gun. While they are in the hallway, most of them vaguely expresses their disbelief to what they just had, but they all are actually interested in it. At this point we see a group of men watching them from a screen, then we realize that the men have all placed several bets on each of the individuals. Nick looks to be genuinely uninterested, so he tells the group that he'll be heading to the airport for his flight. The rest of them run through the stairs, then we see Owen as the first person who gets in a taxi. Meryl gets in touch with her connection, then she eventually secures a private plane for her and Vera. Randy also lies to his wife about getting a job in New Mexico, so the family tells him they'll have to come along, much to his dissatisfaction. Meanwhile, Enrico falls asleep while standing because of his sleeping ailment, which visibly makes one of the gamblers angry for staking on him. After some minutes, Owen gets to the airport and pays off the cab driver. A man comes from the side and informs the driver that Owen is the famous referee who cost them the game against their rivals. The driver subsequently berates himself, regretting not teaching Owen a lesson while he had him in the cab. We also see Nick waiting on his flight to begin boarding, then he strikes a conversation with a girl. Her name is Tracy. Nick offers to buy her a drink, but she declines, stating that she's a pilot who is about to fly. Meanwhile, Owen buys a ticket to the next flight, then Randy and his family also do so. When he gets to the turn of the brothers, they are told that all flights to their destination has been booked. This makes the duo furious, so they decide to stop everyone from flying. Trying to stop the airport's radar from receiving signals, they both tie their truck to it, but it ends up getting damaged. This causes the airport authority to cancel all flights, so the racers have to look for other means to travel. Owen decides to take a cab, but he ends up in the cab of the furious driver. Randy takes his family in his van, Meryl and her mom also get a car, while the 2 brothers gets a car with a fake license. While still in the airport, Tracy informs Nick that she'll be flying a chopper and not an airplane, so greed take over Nick's mind, and then he retrieves his keys from the trash. Meanwhile, the cab driver tricks Owen into driving through the desert, and then he leaves him there, with only his pants left on him. Meryl and her mom also come to a crossed road while driving, so they ask a squirrel seller for direction. When they refuse to purchase a squirrel, she intentionally gives them a wrong direction. The two brothers also decide to split in order to increase their chances, so they go to a locksmith to make them a spare key. While conversing, the locksmith overhears their conversation and decides to play a fast one on them. Elsewhere, Tracy decides to take a detour to say hi to her boyfriend, but she's shocked to see him with another woman. She gets furious and destroys their romance with the chopper. When her boyfriend tries to run away in his car, she chases after him and eventually destroys the chopper. She pulls her already exhausted boyfriend from his car, then she drives away with Nick. Also, we see Owen making it out of the desert. He finds himself in a bus park, so he tricks the driver into giving him his uniform. When he gets in the bus, he's shocked to see it full with a bunch of Lucy faithful women, but they are all going to his destination. Meanwhile, Enrico wakes up from his sleep, then he rushes out of the hotel, but he's hit by a moving van. The driver comes out to see he's okay, so he offers to take him to his destination. By the way, his name is Zach. Zach tells Enrico that he's on his way to deliver a transplant heart, so he offers to show it to Enrico. While looking at it, Enrico mistakenly drops it by the roadside. When they come down to look for it, they see it in a dog's mouth, so through chase after it. When they get hold of the dog, it has been electrocuted by a wired fence. This makes Zach really frustrated, so he tries to take Enrico's heart as a replacement, but he quickly runs away and jumps into a moving train. Elsewhere, we see the two brothers finding out that they've been tricked by the locksmith, so a chase ensues. The locksmith ends up in a park and gets into a balloon, with the two brothers chasing after him. After an intense chasing scene, the brothers eventually get hold of the key. Meanwhile, Owen and his passengers gets in an accident, so Owen tries to fix things up by himself. While doing so, the women get involved and destroys the vehicle, much to the frustration of Owen. He loses his cool and confesses all he has done, but this only makes the women angry and they chase him into the woods. He eventually finds a horse in a ranch, then he steals it and rides his way to his destination. Elsewhere, Meryl and her mother takes the direction given to them by the strange woman, but this gets them in an accident. They manage to find their way out of the wrecked car, and then they end up in a rocket car station. When they hear the instructions given by the pilot, they steal the car, but it drives them at super speed. When the car eventually stops, they lose their mental consciousness, so a psychiatric nurse sees them and adds them to a bus loaded with mentally ill patients. Elsewhere, we see Randy and his family has gotten into car trouble. They end up in a restaurant, then Randy eventually confesses everything to his wife. She forgives him and asks that they go back. He tricks his family into taking milkshakes, then he drugs them with it. When they've all passed out, he stops a truck driver and bundles his family into it, telling the driver to take them to his destination. Meanwhile, Nick eventually opens up to Tracy, then they agree to split the money if they are the first to get hold of it. Cut to a few hours later, we see Enrico as the first person to arrive at the station. He finds Harold, Donald's assistant, who is also updating him on the phone. When Enrico tries to open the safe, he falls asleep again. The rest of the racers eventually makes their way to the station at the same time, but they see Enrico is already there. When they see he's asleep, they all rush to open it, but they see it is empty. When they go outside, they see it's Harold who has played a fast one on them, so they chase after him through the city. When they finally get hold of the money, the lights come on and they see that they are on a live stage. When they discover it's a charity donation for poor children, they all decide to give the money to them. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to help the channel out. Also check out more stories on our channel.